Super excited to come back at you with another short-term rental, luxury short-term gems. We are having our summit next week, and today we are interviewing a few of our experts. So remember, guys, we have the great pleasure of hosting 60 expert guests. 60 guests. So you're thinking, okay, this is going to take weeks to consume, right? But guess what? Here's the catch. They all only get 60 seconds, that's 1 minute, to impart upon you one key tip, hack, trick, insight. I'm talking years of content and strategy and expertise condensed down to 1 minute so that you can move the needle. No more, overthinking things, no more of these long Clubhouse intros for 3 hours, no fluff, okay? No fluff. They don't even get to introduce themselves, really. So that's why we're here today, because we want them to have the opportunity to interact with you, to introduce themselves to you, for you to there in turn ask questions and just say hello and just jump into the comments, because I'm super, super excited to have them here today. We have Amber, who is from Pricelabs. Super excited to have her. We have Dr. Param, who has a phenomenal community of other physicians who are looking for financial freedom. And she has a portfolio herself of short-term rentals and phenomenal strategies on how she's moving the needle. We have Sean, who is a co-host expert. Okay, this guy is an expert. I met Sean from another mastermind specifically for short-term rentals, and I got to tell you, he is such an inspiration to our entire community. And I love the way he hosts. It's different. And what I was saying about you a little bit earlier, Sean guarantees 5-star reviews to his homeowners and his partners. So that's really, really bold. I'm not gonna say that word. There's really brave. Brave of him. And I love that. And we have Quay. Quay is actually a member of my community. She launched her very first short-term rental. She squeaked it in before 2022 was over. 2022? 2021?
21.
Over, right? 2021 was over. It's happening live, y'all. It's happening live. And she was able to leverage some of that bonus depreciation before that 100% is gone in 5 months. So guys, stay tuned for more of that, because we have some tax, Yona Weiss and all of them. We've got them presenting as well, which I'm super excited about. We have 4 of our expert guests right now. We are expecting one more. So guys, welcome, welcome. I am super excited about this summit. So Amber, I would love for you to tell me, what do you think about this summit? 1 minute, do you think it's going to be valuable at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that this is the day and age of short attention spans and also multitasking. So we're just trying to get as much information as we can, as quickly as we can. And I think that if you are in a position where you're looking for best practices and advice, sometimes it helps to start with just like the direct nitty-gritty information, just like the tidbit that you really need, and then later learn the details and learn and dive into some more information.
Oh, you're so right, Amber, because there are so many different aspects of short-term rentals, right? So are you looking for help with acquisitions of the actual property, how to position yourself from a tax strategy perspective, or do you have one, but you're struggling with your cleaners and how do I really manage this remotely? And so the thing is, one question that I often get asked, or one fear that comes my way is, well, I don't know what I don't know. I guarantee you everything that you need will be in the summit in terms of exposing you to all the things, all the different aspects, everything from the whole life cycle, from acquisitions to tax strategy to risk mitigation to positioning and so on and so forth. And then, like Amber said, you can go ahead and dial in. You can say, okay, this is a section that I was looking for. You probably didn't even know how to phrase it. and then you can go ahead and go deeper in that, regard. So love that you mentioned that. I'm going to go ahead and say hello to Dr. Param. Dr. Param, I love what you are doing in your community, helping physicians to see that there is a way to create an additional revenue stream with short-term rentals. So much so that I think it really changed the trajectory of your life and probably, helped you to, switch things up earlier than you probably were expecting. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you, Rachel. Let me start off by saying I love what you're doing. I love the experts you're bringing together. And like Amber was saying, just having all these people in the same space, if you're starting out or if you have something and you're trying to scale, I think the summit is going to be awesome for everyone. Quickly about me, that's what I did. I used real estate to get to financial freedom. Instead of taking 20 years like it would have in the stock market, it took me a year to do it. And I like a diversified, resilient portfolio. So I have long-term and short-term rentals. And I love what short-term rentals are doing for high income earners, for literally everybody, right? Because those returns are super high. And then you tack on those tax strategies. And I know you have tax experts coming in, cost segregation experts. So everyone listening is going to have a great idea of first of all, seeing what's possible. And then you have all the experts tell them how to take it, implement it, automate things, because that's such a big part. Because all of us, we want our time back, right? And time is so important. So we have so many speakers who are going to help you automate it, optimize your listing, so you're getting, as much returns as you can. And then when you're looking to scale, to do what Quay did, right? To get your property, to use those tax strategies to get almost all the money back when the next year in taxes, and then use that to just keep scaling. It's an amazing thing. Short-term rentals really do supercharge your portfolio. I like adding it in along with long-term rentals, but even within the short-term rental space, I know you're going to be touching upon people who do it in vacation, in vacation spaces versus people who are doing it in metro markets where you have more exit options, and then people who are renting out a portion of their home on Airbnb. So many different ways to do it, and I think anyone attending the conference is going to leave with being able to see all the different possibilities, and I'm super excited.
Oh, I love that. And you touched on so many of the possibilities. So I'm going to go down to Sean real quick. Sean, what if I'm afraid? What if I don't know whether I can get 5-star reviews? Is there a process for that? What if I anticipate that, things are going to get broken and people are going to trash my house? That's one of the biggest fears that I hear all the time. Sean, what do you have to say for those individuals who are concerned about those risks to both the property, to individuals at the property? Are there systems in place? Is it figure outable?
Very figure outable. Again, one more time, I just want to say I'm so humbled to be part of this group. Like 60 minutes, 60 speakers. Like it's going to be the most valuable hour someone can spend to get a crash course, to learn from some of the best about how to operate this business, whether it's right for them, and just to see wow, these 60 people have all built these amazing businesses in this industry, and hopefully inspire them to do the same. Regarding your question, if you compare long-term to short-term rentals, it's way safer to have a short-term rental because you're getting eyes on the property probably 2 times a week. You're having cleaners coming through every single time. In a long term, you might have a full year or 5 years without seeing it. You have no idea what's going inside there. With this, you're actually seeing, you're having your cleaners go through with the eyes and ears, and you're having paying customers rate you every single time on how that property is functioning. If you're delivering on your, experience that you're aiming to provide. And I just love that you get that constant feedback from a paying customer to where if anything isn't going right, you quickly address it, you quickly find it. And yeah, I've hosted over, 2,400, I've hosted over 5,000 groups on Airbnb. And I've never had a true disaster story of something going wrong where Airbnb didn't cover it, or I wasn't able to get the insurance to cover any issue that ever popped up. But it's so few and far between. People are there to have a great time. If you show them a great time, the business will keep thriving, and you'll get those great returns, but also be providing great experiences to all these people traveling to your area. So I absolutely love this industry, and again, so humble to be a part of this group.
I love that, Sean. And one thing that you didn't touch on, but I think it's really important, I think the vast majority, if not all of your properties, are rather remote to you, right? You have quite a bit of the portfolio that's remotely managed by you.
Yeah, almost nearly 100%. I actually, above my keyboard, I have a little like little piece of paper that says maintain location independence, because that's something, it's important to me and my family. And that's the reason I do have that 5-star guarantee, where if anybody leaves anything other than a 5-star, I don't take a commission. That's because I want to be able to host these properties that a lot of them I've never even seen before, but I've gotten so dialed in with my communication, with kind of the pattern of how every booking goes, with, how I communicate with my team on the ground. And again, you're getting that constant feedback from guests. So you find out if anything's going wrong, and then you just got to quickly make it right for the guest that's there, and then make sure that doesn't impact guests in the future. So yeah, almost all my properties are, states away. And again, over probably 70% I've never seen in person.
Wow.
Wow, indeed, right, Quay? Quay, I'll take it to you, Quay. So what made you interested in getting started with short-term rentals, Quay? Because I know you started last year, you squeaked in to make sure you can take advantage of some of those tax benefits, but there are so many investment strategies out there, and I'm not going to throw any stones at anyone, but there's long-term rentals, there's multifamily syndications, and I'm sure you looked at everything because you're very analytical, being an attorney, retired attorney. So what made you decide to go the short-term rental route?
Plain and simple, bonus depreciation. That was it, because my husband is still working. He's the physician in the group, in the couple, with us. He's still working. He's past retirement, and is at the peak earning capacity. And so it was important to us, to be able to maximize the tax benefits. And also what we're doing is we're growing this portfolio to create cross-generational wealth. We have millennials, so they will take over the portfolio at some point in time. But for us right now, it was all about the taxes. And I know that some people say, don't let the tax tail wag the dog. But that was, our first consideration. And then second was cash flow, so that we would be able to, use those funds to expand, our portfolio.
I love that. I love that. And so that's not something you hear all the time, right? And that's why we wanted to put this summit together. People typically start with cash flow, but to hear from experts who are looking at different angles, again, it shows you what's possible. And I know, Dr. Parham, you mentioned that, what's possible and what other questions are out there maybe that I'm not asking. So with that being said, I do want to do a round robin one more time. So Amber, guys, for those of you who are just joining us, Amber is joining us from Pricelabs. So I would love everyone to go around and tell Amber a little bit about our first. Well, how was the first experience that you had with Pricelabs? Because I know it has changed my life, and it's a story that I talk about on a lot of podcast interviews. So for us, we had a property that it was our second short-term rental, and we, integrated it with Pricelabs. And at that point, I was thinking to myself, this house was a long-term rental, like $1,800 a month is what it was renting out as a long-term rental. The homeowner had moved away. It was like the 3-year mark. She was going to get some really big taxes, and she had to sell it. And so went back and forth, negotiated. She sold it to us. And I said to myself, okay, I bet you if I really, set this up correctly, I can generate probably $8,000 a month for this property, which is huge. I'm a little girl from Haiti, so I'm like, ooh, 8,000. Dare I ever imagine 10,000? No, that's just too much. So then I went ahead and integrated Pricelabs with the property. Once it was set up, it needed a little bit of work, some lipstick. And once I integrated it and turned it on, and I know you have to train the AI and all of that jazz. And I was thinking to myself, I'm going to probably have to train it, and it's either going to overshoot or, just go way lower than I expect. Well, I turned it on for 30-night stay minimum. At that point, just because I was onboarding a new cleaning team, but our minimum night stays are about 2 nights. But I said, I'm going to do a 30-night stay first month as we onboard. And for that 30 nights, it listed it as $28,000. And I think that store is my claim to fame. And I was like, oh, okay, that's ridiculous. 28,000. Oh my gosh, let me go ahead and turn this off. It gets booked for 28,000 that month. The next month, 15,000. The next month, 21,000. It was gangbusters. And I just was like screaming to everyone, do you know Pricelabs? Are you on Pricelabs? Do you know Pricelabs? Like, I could not believe it, And honestly, that really helped me to reevaluate some things in life. I was like, my whole life got changed because I said to myself, well, where else am I thinking small, right? because I was thinking 8,000, but I would not cross 10,000. But where else am I thinking small? And then at that point, after a few months, AirDNA and a casting team reaches out. They saw the numbers and they're like, we would love to, cast you for this show. And I was like, okay, I'm in healthcare. I know nothing about casting. I'm thinking it's going to be the sexy, amazing experience. I'm not allowed to talk about it. It was kind of a nightmare. I was like a toddler, like, get me out of here after a while. But all this to say, yeah, we got casted. They flew us out to New Mexico to the set of Breaking Bad. It was insane. And I really believe that it started off with Pricelabs. I'm like, no joke. So that's my Pricelabs story. It's insane, but I am super, super excited to have you here with us, Amber. Tell Richie and the guys, they have changed my life, for sure. And just thank you for taking part of this summit, because I want everyone to know what's possible. And to me, that's huge. So
that's an amazing story. That is, I've heard some very amazing sort of unique stories like that. And it's always nice to hear. I mean, I obviously love working for Pricelabs, but I was a Pricelabs user before coming to Pricelabs. And it was one of the reasons that it brought me to Pricelabs, because I started in revenue management in the vacation rental world. And I started with manually adjusting rates for something like 300 to 600 properties. And so to learn that there is a different way, and to trust that I don't have to be in control of everything that's going on is pretty huge. Just realizing that software can actually not only save you time, but it can know things better than you can. So I love hearing that story. I love hearing any kind of feedback, about dynamic pricing in general, just the opportunity to look at the space, look at the short-term rental space, and look at the opportunity of, there's a very small fraction of short-term rentals that are using dynamic pricing, whether it's Pricelabs or a competitor. And we just always say, hey, as long as you're considering dynamic pricing, that's huge. That's going to be huge for you, because it's going to really change not only how you approach pricing, but it really just allows you to focus on some other things like operations and things like that. So
I have a message to new investors. I am a new investor, and we last year we decided not to use a dynamic pricing tool because our property manager, said he, is very expert, manages all these properties, uses Airbnb. It's great. Worst mistake I could have ever made. So for new investors, get on board with Pricelabs early on. That's what we're planning on doing now. And so I can't wait to implement, because I've heard so many great things about it. So that's my message to new investors. Don't wait.
yeah, you're right, because you're leaving money on the table. What about you, Sean? What are your thoughts?
I was going to say, it's like what, $12 per listing, the best money you can spend every month. I mean, I have friends or people in different masterminds are like, hey, should we do this? I don't know. It's going to be like $60 for, our units. Like, dude, just do it. You're going to make so much more. You're going to have so much more time. And for me, I just love whenever I list a new property for an owner, and they have an expectation about here, and then those first 3 bookings come in and they see the notifications. They're like, my God, are these numbers right? Is this correct? I'm like, yeah, we thought we were going to make that in a month, and we made it in a weekend. I'm like, yeah, buckle up, here it comes. So it's been pretty amazing. And I wish I would have found out before. We originally had 3 hostel locations in Austin with 35 different listings that I managed by myself with no dynamic pricing. And definitely looking back, there was a lot of money left on the table. But I've righted the wrong, and I've got it, going forward. So learn from my mistake, and Julie George, who never had dynamic pricing, and all the other people that kicked themselves for not, giving it a shot sooner. So yeah, thank you, Amber, and the rest of your team for, helping make this a very profitable and, less time consuming business.
Absolutely. I like the time part too, right? You're saving on time. Go ahead, Quay, you're going to jump in.
And I just want to jump in and say, kudos to you for bringing together all these experts, because I don't necessarily consider myself an expert, because we learn from each other. You know, although we have certain areas that we're very proficient in, very knowledgeable in, but being a part of this expert community, we learn from each other. So yay to Rachel. Thank you, Rachel.
I appreciate that, Quay. No, your expertise is you got yourself unstuck. How many people are in one step away from where you are who are still thinking about it, but they haven't made the plunge? And I think it's really important for individuals to interact with someone who just made the plunge recently with their first unit, because that's the person. People look at me at this point, they're like, oh, Rachel, she's not going to be relatable. But you just started, Quay, and you have done so much with what you have started with. I'm just super excited. That is your expertise, and I'm so honored that you have joined us on this journey. But I want to take it back to Dr. Parham. What about you? What about your community? Are they using Pricelabs or a dynamic pricing tool? Because that is one of the tools in our tool chest, right? To make sure that we're gaining profitability, and your community, similar to mine, they need that time freedom too, because gone are the days where I'm pouring over 3 a.m. looking at prices and trying to figure out what the neighbors are doing, right? So tell me, Dr. Parham, how has dynamic pricing impacted you and your community?
So Rachel, like you, when I teach, I always say just recommend that they use a dynamic pricing software, and the one that I recommend is Pricelabs, Amber, and most of our members just use it because I think some of them do end up trying what Airbnb has. I think they have smart pricing. That's something that they introduced, and it's just so frustrating that after a week of that, they'll be like, okay, I'm ready to integrate, a dynamic pricing software. And I like you, it's about time, and it's about being able to use all this data that's available. We're living in a different world now compared to 5 years ago, and we have all the data available. Why wouldn't you use it to optimize your pricing and optimize your returns, right? So yeah, it's a no-brainer. I highly recommend it, even for those using other property management softwares like OwnerRez or Guestly. They do integrate it with Pricelabs. It's just the way to go.
I love it. I love it. And so we got Amber on this hot seat. So Amber, what is the future for Pricelabs? What should we anticipate? Anything new down the pipeline?
I mean, we are always trying to improve what we have and make everything a possibility that our customers want. So we're always asking for feedback. And so we have a long list of things that are in development and even just ideas, right? So once an idea gets basically enough support from our users, then our team starts to make that happen. We recently released like min stay recommendations. So that's a new tool. So this is a great opportunity, especially for those new to the SDR world. So yes, dynamic pricing, very helpful, automatically having your rates adjusted every day. But in addition to that, like you can maximize your revenue and really make an impact if you have dynamic minimum stay. If your minimum stay far out is longer, it's going to help your calendar because then you're not like sort of blocking an opportunity further on down the road when pricing could actually be higher. So we have a tool that basically says, hey, based on the market, based on the booking trends, this is what we would see and what we would recommend purely from a revenue standpoint, not from operational sort of standpoint. So, that's a little caveat that we're still sort of working in there. So we'll have like quite a few like one night minimums, right? One night minimums are not for everybody. We get that. But it still gives everybody an idea of the different type of things they can do with their min stay. In addition to that, we're always looking at really perfecting how we can help our mid-stay. So, or a midterm, I should say. So 14 nights and longer, and like how that kind of works with dynamic pricing. So we're working on improving that. We're also always working on trying to improve sort of our seasonal capabilities. So some of our seasonal markets, and just like the min stay recommendation I just mentioned, like we're sort of tweaking that because these very seasonal markets, I live in Panama City Beach, very seasonal. So there's a lot of fluctuation in pricing and min stay that happens with seasons. And so we're working on sort of, tweaking all of that, but constantly coming up with different ideas to make our software do anything that our users really need us to do.
Awesome. Awesome. I think this has been great. I'm going to take a look to see if we have any questions in the chat. Let's see here. Nope, no questions right now. Okay, awesome. I think I'm on read only. That is my bad. We'll definitely get this streamed out. So one of the bits of feedback that I did receive and a question that I get asked every now and then is in terms of the timeline for the user experience for a phone app version of Pricelabs.
Yes. So like mobile friendly and
Mobile friendly, yes.
Yes, that is in the works. That is definitely in the works. We know that we have sort of some limitations on what it looks like when you're on sort of the mobile version of the website. So that's definitely, I don't off the top of my head know like which quarter we're trying to get that released in, but that's certainly, we know that that is high demand. Absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. One of our speakers, doctors Ian and Lauren, their 60 seconds is how to manage your STR, how to manage 90% of your STR on your iPhone, which is so timely and so appropriate for what they do for a living, emergency room and all of that, you know? So I think it's really cool. It just shows you that everything is figure outable, right? There are ways to leverage the tools that you have in your tool chest. If one or two things you do need to take a look on desktop, that's fine. You map it out. But if you could manage the majority of it on this thing, you know, I mean, why not, right? So super excited about that. I know we're at the top of the hour. Again, guys, if you're just joining us, we're talking with just a handful of our 60-second experts for the Luxury Short-Term Rentals Summit. Doors open next week, Tuesday. I cannot wait. Go to luxestrsummit.com. That is LUXESTRsummit.com to grab your ticket. It was John Ann, I think last week, who said, how much is it? And last week we had early bird pricing $27. And he said, that's like less than 50 cents per expert. So guys, come on, right? Get her done. It's up to $47 now, so less than $1 per expert, and you will have this access. Guys, this is the creme de la creme of the short-term rental industry. We have representatives from the different tools that we love to use. Definitely check it out. This is going to be, I think, epic, and I cannot wait to see you all. And thank you, experts, for joining me today. I know we're at the top of our time together. I so appreciate you, and I'm so grateful that you decided to participate. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Good luck with the
Bye, Dr.
summit.
Thank you. Bye.
Awesome.
Good chat with all of y'all.